I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be days of being super hot are gone forever. Well, I've got an email here. This is actually from a woman, and she writes in asking me to do more emails or answer more emails from women in future video newsletters. And she also wants to know why I place such a big emphasis on women being young, beautiful, and attractive. So obviously, just reading, because I've read through her email before, she's a little upset. And anything that we as human beings, we have a wound with or something that we feel uncomfortable about, we're going to tend to attack in other people when they acknowledge that about us. Or, in other words, if you're a really happy person, and you love life and just everything feels great to you, and you get around other people that are, say, unhappy and they're having a bad day, or maybe they're just toxic and they're always fucking negative and a pain in the ass to be around, they're gonna put you down and they're gonna attack you and they're gonna say things to you that are nasty and negative just because you're so happy and they're not. In other words, they're connected to something, or you're connected to something that they're disconnected from. And so we tend to attack in other people what we're disconnected from within ourselves. So with that thought in mind, I got a quote that I wrote on this topic, and I want to go through her email, which is actually pretty short. But she brings up some good points, because either us personally or we know somebody personally that is going through or having the same kind of experience about how we perceive ourselves. And the quote says, "How we perceive ourselves determines how we treat our bodies. Happy people tend to take better care of their bodies than the average person. High achievers tend to be in better shape, eat better quality food, and therefore simply look better and be more sexually attractive to members of the opposite sex. Our internal happiness increases our sexual attractiveness. Cultivating a life of inner peace and success comes from having a life and lifestyle that you love with the kinds of people you love spending it with. Having a healthy body means you will physically feel better about yourself and your life, in addition to looking physically better and therefore more sexually attractive. When your heart, lifestyle, and life's work are totally aligned, you'll naturally radiate success, inner peace, and well-being to everyone you encounter. You attract how you act. Find a way to make it easy to be awesome and love your life, and you will draw an endless flow of like-minded people to you." So with that said in mind, let's go through her email. She says, "Hi Corey Wayne, can you please do more videos for women? I ended a 9-year relationship recently because I felt he was basically a jerk." Well, good for you for having the strength to leave a relationship that just wasn't fulfilling all your needs, wants, and desires, instead of sitting around hoping that the guy's going to change or that things are going to somehow get better, when obviously after 9 years, you know what you got at that point. And you either accept it or you say, I can do better. Obviously, you chose to do better. Good for you. It takes a lot of inner strength to do that, because the reality is most people in the world don't have the guts to do that. They don't have the guts to leave something that sucks because they're afraid of that in-between period in between the time of leaving what sucks until you meet something way better. And it sometimes is many years, 3 or 4 years, before somebody comes along really spectacular that does it for you. That's the reality of life. She says, "And before that, I was with my husband for close to 20 years. I'm 52, healthy, and look pretty good for my age. I'm dating a couple of guys around my age, all of them super successful. One of them is an ex-professional NHL hockey player, a millionaire cattle farmer, and a cop, etc., etc. I feel so lost. 3 months single." It's only been 3 months. 3 months single after a lifetime of being in relationships. Obviously, if you were, for the most part, I guess you spent close to 30 years. I don't know how much time you spent in between being single and dating before, in between your marriage ending and the guy you were with for 9 years, it was a jerk. But obviously a couple of months. Typically most people, the average person, they've done statistical studies on this, the average person, when they get over, it usually takes them between a year and a half or so to really get over a bad breakup, or a breakup that really wasn't to your liking or your choosing, or you weren't the one that instigated it. And if you were together with somebody for 10 years, I mean, 3 months is not a long time. You really don't know what you don't know at that point. She says, I'm watching you nonstop, but you put so much emphasis on looks and hot girls. And I guess I am hot for the senior set, but the days of being super hot, of course, are gone forever. Well, the reality is, I mean, I'm not here to blow sunshine up your ass. I'm going to give you the unvarnished truth, and sometimes it's not going to be very fucking nice. So if you're looking for somebody to coddle and kiss your ass and blow sunshine up your ass and tell you it's okay, it'll just be fine, someday you'll meet just the perfect right guy for you, like all the other idiots that give you that politically correct nonsense. The reality is you got to focus on what's important, and you got to focus on taking care of yourself. And obviously if you're upset about looks, well, then that tells me you're not happy with the way you look and your body. But the reality is the way you look on the outside is a reflection of how you feel about yourself on the inside. Just like I said in the quote, if you love yourself, you're going to take care of yourself. The reality with being healthy and diet and exercise is sustained discipline over many months and many years. It's a lifestyle change. It's not something you do temporarily to shed some fat, and then once it's gone, you go right back to eating the way you were before, because when you do that, not only will you gain all the weight back, but you'll gain even more. And so it's something that, and as obviously the older you get, your metabolism is not as fast as when you were younger, and so it's a little harder to burn off those calories and burn off that fat when you gain it as you get older. And the reality for us guys are visual creatures. I mean, what gets our attention about a particular woman is her looks and her body shape. That's reality. It is what it is. You can be upset about that, or you can say, you know what, I'm going to get in the absolute best fucking shape of my life, no matter what. The reality is that I know, like when I was 29 years old, and I wrote about this in my second book, which is going to be out very soon, by the way. But I was 190 when I was 29 years old. I was a size 33 waist, and I was pushing a size 34, and I didn't have a fucking neck. My chin went from like here to here. There was just nothing there. I wasn't fat, but I was like thick all over. And I changed my diet just because I wanted to get healthier, not because I was trying to lose weight, but as a side effect of eating healthier foods. I cut out red meat, pork, fried foods, which was basically most of what I was eating, because I was eating a lot of fast food at the time. And within 6 months, I dropped close to 30 pounds. I went from 190 down to about 165. And within 2 weeks of just cutting out fried foods, pork, stopped drinking all those sodas and stuff like that, I went from running 15 minutes a shot outside to being able to run 45 minutes, no problem, just because of a diet change. And that was just the beginning that was even before I got into juicing and the other things that I do now. And the reality is, I get more looks now at my age than I did when I was 29, and it was just as a side effect of the way I looked, because I was overweight. I could tell myself that I wasn't overweight and I was just fine, or I could say I was big boned, but the reality is I was kind of pudgy, and I had weight all over. And if I compare the guy that I am today versus the guy then, I have way more energy, I'm happier, I'm healthier, and women perceive me as being more attractive and even younger. That's the reality. But, what's interesting, if you look at people, if you think about, like, as we go through being teenagers, then we get into our early 20s, we're usually pretty thin, pretty petite. And then it's most people when they're in high school, or actually a large majority, especially if they play sports, tend to work out and be healthy. And then you get into your 20s, you finish college, you get out. I can't go to the gym, got to do this, got to do that. Maybe you settle down, you start having kids. Then the gym just becomes a thing of the past. And then before you know it, you're 30 years old. And, well, let's get a pizza tonight. And it's not like you gain a tremendous amount of weight in a month or two. It happens over several years. And so you might have started, like for me, I started out my early 20s. I was working out a lot in my early 20s. I was 165. That was like my top weight. And by the time I was 29, it was I was pushing 190, maybe even a little bit more than that, and all I was doing for exercise was running, and I pretty much ate whatever I wanted. But and I was busy, and I wasn't working out like I had been in my 20s, and I wasn't, I was just active all the time. And so that weight just kind of slowly gets put on your body, and then when everybody around you, if you think about it, when you're a teenager, or you're in your early 20s, most people are kind of the same body style and thin because we're growing, we're getting rid of our baby fat, and our bodies are stretching out. But like I said, as we get older, it's like everybody that is in our peer group, they tend to start doing the same thing. They tend to slow down a little bit, start to gain a little bit of weight, and then by your early 30s, you don't look the same anymore. And what really makes people look older really is the weight that we put on ourselves. I mean, if you look at somebody like Elizabeth Hurley, the actress and model, she's like 51, I think. She looks fucking smoking hot. She's got a great body, great figure. She's got beautiful skin, takes really good care of her body and her health to look good. But it takes a lot of conscious effort and a lot of self-love to do that perpetually, consistently, decade in and decade out. That's just reality. And unfortunately, most people are not willing to do that. And because they're not willing to do that, they make excuses. Oh, I'm big boned. I don't have the time. I got to get my knee fixed. My tennis elbow's been acting up. I got to get my meds right. I got to sell my car. I got to go back to school. I got to clean out my garage first. There's always some excuse that gets in the way of doing what's really necessary. And the reality is we can look in the mirror and we can see things for what they are. And if you don't like the way you look in the mirror, then you're going to have to do something about it. It means you got to move more and you got to eat less. It's sustained diet discipline. It's like one of the things that I do at this point in my life is I tend to eat a bigger meal for lunch, and then in the afternoon, like at night, I usually have one of my green alkaline smoothies and some nuts and a few apples, and that's usually what I eat for dinner. Now, if I go out or I have a date or I have plans to go out and eat, that's going to change around a little bit, but for the most part, most of the time, 80% of the time, that's what I'm eating because I like being healthy, I like feeling healthy, I like looking good, I like being mentally sharp because it's required for what I do. And plus, being a coach, I gotta lead by example. I gotta eat and exercise and do the things that I teach. And that's reality. But if I ate the same way I did when I was 29 years old, I'd be a fat fuck right now. And people would be like, that dude's a joke. He's fucking enormous. I wouldn't listen to anything about him about health. But because I've gained weight and been overweight in my life, I know what it's like. And I know the discipline and the time that it takes to get back to where you were. Especially those last 5-10 pounds you have around your midsection. Those are always like the hardest to lose. Because you can be healthy 3-4 days a week, and then if you're fucking around the other 3 or 4 days a week, well, you just pretty much undid all the good that you'd done those previous few days. And that's reality. So back to her email. Obviously, so she also sent a picture of her and her daughter, and the reality is I can tell by your picture that you're overweight. And I know it's not a nice thing to say, but you sent the picture, and I can read your email, and obviously the only thing that's probably that you need to change is you need to be more disciplined. You need to be more disciplined in your diet, and you need to make sure you're going to the gym on a regular basis. Like, I give an example. I've talked about this in the past. I love my dad, but my dad drinks too much and he eats too much at night. And he just got married in the past year and a half to his girlfriend of 5 years, and she works out all the time. She does yoga, very healthy. And I tell my dad, I'm brutally honest with him. I was like, Dad, I love you, but you're getting fucking fat. You can't just sit on the couch every night and drink and eat and let yourself go, especially when your wife is going to the gym 4 or 5 days a week. It's like, come on. But that's what happens. People get married. They're like, fuck it. I don't have to do the little things anymore. He hasn't been in the gym in months. And, as a son, that's kind of sad for me because it's like I know that the older he gets, he's not going to be able to continue to do that. Eventually, it'd kill him and give him a heart attack. And that would suck, but, you love your family. You accept them the way they are, and you gently nudge them in a brutally honest way that we tend to do in the right direction. But at the end of the day, people are going to do what they're going to do. If you don't have an emotionally compelling reason to do something, you won't stick with it long enough. That's reality. So she says, is it always about looks? Well, if you want a guy's attention initially, yeah, it's got to be, it's just the way we are. We're wired that way. I didn't, if you don't like it, talk to the big man upstairs. I didn't make us that way. Just we are. I'm just telling you the brutal truth. I mean, I'm super fit and I'm a super health freak, but let's face it, people get old. So in other words, I work out a lot, but I'm not really as disciplined as I could be, and therefore I don't look as good as I could be. And so the excuse is, well, people get old. It's like my daughter and I, so she says, my daughter and I a couple of weekends ago. So she sent a picture, and your daughter's beautiful, you're beautiful, but I can tell from your picture that you're overweight. I can see it in your face. And anybody looking at the picture would say the same thing. I mean, like I said, you can look at pictures of me 20 years ago, like, that dude's he's kind of fat. He's overweight. It is what it is. Can you please just give me some goddamn hope that I can still be desirable to guys that don't always have to have the ass you can crack an egg on? Well, it's up to you. How important is it to you to have a really hot guy? I mean, like attracts like. A guy that's in really great shape and looks like the way you want him to look is going to want a woman that's in really great shape. And the reality is that if you're healthy and you're in really great shape, and you're dating somebody who has no interest in health or working out, over time, eventually, you're going to become just like them. That's the unpleasant reality, is you're going to become just like the other person. And that's why it's really, like for me, the women I date, is like, if a girl doesn't work out, if she's not into personal health and fitness and eating healthy, I don't care how hot she looks now, I won't date her. I don't want to be with somebody because then I'm going to get lazy the longer we're together. And like attracts like. You attract how you act. So if you want a more in shape, good looking physical guy, you got to become a woman. I mean, again, Liz Hurley, I think she's a year younger than you. She looks fucking amazing, and her skin looks fucking beautiful. And you've been following me for a while. The things that make the difference are exercise with weights, cardio, green juice, how to make Corey's green juice. You can Google that. That is a paradigm shift. And then Corey's green alkaline smoothie, and obviously the different nut mixes that I talk about, which I'll go in more detail in the book that's going to be out soon. But like I said, your body, if you've ever read anything about an alkaline-based diet, your body needs 80% greens. 80% of your plate should be the dark leafy green things. And I've been eating this way 16 years, 17 years now. And so I've done a lot of experimenting with different foods. And that's why I look the way I do and the way I feel I do, is because I'm disciplined, and I do it because I have to. Because otherwise, if I didn't, my nasal passages would clog up. I'd be getting the flu 3 or 4 times a year. I'd be getting colds. I'd have hay fever. I'd have a runny nose. And I dealt with that for 30, 31 years of my life. And so it's a fucking miserable existence. And that's why I do these things. I like the way I feel. And if I ever eat a bunch of crap, or I drink, or around the holidays or whatever, I can literally feel it within hours in my body. And that's why I do something about it right away. And I make a change. And I change my diet. I get right back to juicing and eating healthy and running and everything else, because I like the way it makes me feel, and I like the way it makes me look. I used to be that girl, but I'm 52 and single. I'm bummed about my age. Well, the reality is we all get it. We all get older. I mean, I'm going to be 48 in a few weeks, so that's reality. It happens, but you can still look good, and you can still look hot, and you can look hotter than you do now, and that's reality. And the only thing getting in the way of that is your dedication and your discipline to it. It's a lifestyle change. It's a way of life. It's not something that's optional. If you get older and you don't take care of yourself, because I got lots of friends that are my age that are obese, they're overweight, they're in the hospital all the time, they're constantly getting shit cut out of them, and it's like, what are you going to do? I love them. They're my friends, but if somebody doesn't love themselves enough to want to work out and take care of themselves, and they'd rather just go get a pill or go get an operation, it's like, okay, well, if that works for you, then keep doing it. But bottom line is, you wrote in and you're not happy with the way you look. And like I said, all it is you gotta You got to be more disciplined in your diet, and you got to make sure you work out. Move less, or move more, eat less. Pretty simple formula. I just want to hear you talk to some of us girls that are not 22 anymore. Again, it doesn't really matter your age. It's how you take care of your body and what food you put in your body. We're not meant to wear out after 40, 50, 60 years. I mean, the Greenland shark lives to be 450, 500 years old. It moves really slow. If you study nature, the animals in nature that move the slowest tend to live the longest. Isn't that interesting? Cultivating a life of inner peace, a life that's set up. One of the reasons why I live on the beach most of the time. Obviously, I'm not at the beach today. But everything, your lifestyle, the people in your life, they contribute. Again, you're going to become like the 5 people that you spend most of your time with. That's definitely something to think about. And if you're surrounded by a bunch of unhealthy people that eat all the time and are like, oh, we'll go to the gym tomorrow. Oh, you're so... And if you look better than most of your friends and then they want to eat a bunch of crap or drink a bunch of crap, and they're going to say to you, oh, you look so good. You look better than all of us. Just have the fucking piece of cake. Stop your whining. You only live once. And what they're really doing is they're getting you to be just like them. So it's important. You got to think about who you associate with and how that influences what you put in your mouth and how often or how little you go to the gym and you work out and you take care of yourself. But it really is up to you. And you have to have an emotionally compelling reason why you want to work out, why you want to take care of yourself. Like for me, it's an essential thing. I like being able to breathe through both my nasal passages. For 31 years of my life, I couldn't breathe through both of my nasal passages without some kind of nose spray. And let me tell you, that was a fucking miserable existence. And when you're able to breathe through both of your nostrils freely, openly, when you spent 31 years of not being able to, it's a fucking revelation. It's a paradigm shift. It's like having a new lease on life. It's being able to feel so good physically that you didn't know life could be that great. So if you'd like to get help from me personally, the quickest way is to go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book whatever coaching option works for you. And I will talk to you soon.